This is kind of hard for me to talk about, but I like to be open with you mates. I will absolutely never forget this day for as long as I live. Around 8 o'clock on October 23rd, 2017, I texted my best friend and said, I don't want to be friends anymore. He wasn't the person I thought he was. He used me, treated me like garbage, and would talk trash about me behind my back. And man, it really hurt to find all that out. It rocked my world. It's like someone coming up to you and saying, hey, you see this color right here? This is red. When the color they're pointing to is blue. It's like your whole life has been a lie and you've been eating up every last bite of it. That's how I felt when an article about one of my favorite bands called Brand New broke on the internet at the end of 2017. And although I was crushed, bewildered, and taken aback by this article about one of my favorite bands, I'm ultimately not the one who was hurt in this situation, but I am here to tell you about the story regarding this situation. So at this point, you're probably wondering, what was this article about and why did it crush me? Well, I guess we got to start from the top, buckle up my mates, crack open a can of beans, and let's get into a little story that I'm going to call Brand New, the Rise and Fall. I want you to imagine this. You have a favorite pair of shoes that you wear every single day. You've had them for a year now. They're super broken in, you've never had a pair of sneakers that were this great. But one day as you're putting on your shoes, something happens. You slip on your left shoe, fits like a glove. And as you slide on your right shoe, it feels so good and natural until your toes reach the very end of your shoe and you feel the sharpest, most painful sting you've ever felt in your life. You quickly rip off your shoe, dump out the contents, and lo and behold, there was a 4-inch scorpion taking refuge in the tip of your shoe. You take a look at your shoes now chilling on your bedroom floor with a sense of betrayal. And to make matters worse, that scorpion was deadly and a single sting would be fatal for a human, and you calmly pass on to the next life within the hour. That right there is about how abruptly Brand New ended, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but I feel like that's how many fans felt. Like something they loved betrayed them and sucked the life out of them within a matter of hours. Things would never be the same. Even if you can separate the art from the artist, things will just be different from now on. But you know what? I'm getting way ahead of myself. Every great empire has a beginning, middle, and end, and that's where we will begin. The year 2000 marked the end of a millennium and the beginning of a new band. The first Sims game had just come out, Tamagotchis were popping off hard, and 4 young boys got together and began making music. Their names were Brian Lane, Vincent Accardi, Garrett Tierney, and Jesse Lacey. However, before Brand New was a thing, Jesse, Garrett, and Brian played in a band called The Rookie Lot before separating from the other members and forming Brand New. I actually feel really dumb saying this, but that probably explains the band name. You know, they disbanded from their current band and formed a brand new band called Brand New. I know I'm dumb, but when stuff like this comes up, I can't help but feel it's getting worse. This band drama took place in the very late 90s, right before the year 2000, and at some point in between disbanding from the Rookie Lot and forming Brand New, they got connected with their lead guitarist, Vincent Accardi, who was in Brand New from the beginning till the end. And just a quick side note, fun fact, every Brand New member was an original member. They started with the band and ended with the band, with the exception of Derek Sherman, who played keyboards, guitars, and backing vocals for Brand New from about 2005 to 2013. Brand New's initial intention was to move outside of whatever notions they felt inclined to when they were making music as younger people. They quickly gained exposure in the local scene through playing shows with alternative rock groups like Midtown and some dang crazy bands like Glassjaw, while also self-releasing a demo showcasing the talent that would ultimately lead to them getting signed. Hailing from a tiny hot basement in Merrick, New York, Brand New existed for a short time as an unsigned talent before getting picked up by a fairly new record label. And when I say they existed for a short time before getting signed, I'm talking very short, shorter than that guy in the bagel shop. They were signed after their second ever show, which happens approximately 0% of the time. The record label in question that signed Brand New was none other than Triple Crown Records, the label that would give them the tools and the push that they needed to get themselves out there. The deal was inked in 2001 and Brand New was off to the races like a duck at the park when you bust out that white bread from the backseat of your car. And keep in mind how important it was to have a label back then. You pretty much just couldn't do it yourself like you can these days. Back in the year 2000, if you wanted to promote your music on SoundCloud, run ads on Instagram, or put up your music on Spotify for the whole world to stream, well, you couldn't because those things literally didn't exist. And the internet that we know and love today was just taking shape. It's almost a little bit haunting just how far we've advanced technologically since since 2000. Brand New wasted exactly no time at all after they signed that little piece of paper with Triple Crown. Not only was the document signed at some point in 2001, but just that fall, the boys released their very first long play album titled Your Favorite Weapon. These guys were young when it came out, and man did it show. But here's the thing, it's actually pretty cool that their first record was so immature because it made their later work that much more respectable, seeing where they had come from. And certain people got to grow up with the band in a sense. The songs on the album were so bitter that throwing a handful of kale into your mouth would have tasted sweet in comparison. I mean, come on fellas, we've all wanted a previous romantic partner to get into a fatal car crash. It's called being young. But all jokes aside and all things considered, this album is above average for a pop punk album and got pretty good reception overall, and it was a modest success, selling over 50,000 units and allowing Brand New some airtime on MTV and Fuse. The success of Your Favorite Weapon opened up a lot of doors for Brand New, allowing them to go on tour with Taking Back Sunday before hitting a quick lick on the United Kingdom with Finch, where they got a great response according to the boys at Wikipedia. And while all of this was pretty cool, the storm was just getting started. This was just the beginning. They were merely laying the foundation of what would become their empire. And not even 2 years after the release of Your Favorite Weapon, Brand New released the record that would catapult them into the spotlight and help them reach a level of fame that they could have only dreamed of. Because on June 7th, 2003, Deja Entendu was released via Triple Crown and Razor and Tie. The album marked a stylistic change in the band lyrically and instrumentally. Lacey wrote about things other than breaking up with his girlfriend, and the band now had a wide range of influences that made the album sound a little more mature and gave off the feeling that they were starting to pave their own lane. According to band members, a lot more time and concentration went into making this album, which is pretty evident when comparing the two. It's like drawing a picture of a dog when you're 6 versus when you're 16. Even if you think they both suck, the drawing of the dog that you did at 16 is probably better than the one that you did when you were 6. In an interview with Billboard, Lacey said that although Deja Entendu does offer a different sound, the album doesn't seem like we're departing from anything really. I think we always knew we had a lot of potential, and there's a lot of stuff that we were able to do and a lot of different sounds we wanted to make. Not too long after we recorded the first record, we were already wondering where we were going to go from there. Deja debuted at number 63 on the Billboard 200, and after only 7 weeks, it had already sold 51,000 units. And just 4 years after that, in May of 2007, it was certified gold after selling 500,000 copies. And if you don't know basic math, that's over 2 high school football stadiums. This Astronaut album brought them so many opportunities, such as playing on Jimmy Kimmel Live. They recorded some iconic music videos and even managed to go on tour with some of the big boys, like Blink, Dashboard, My Chemical Romance, and Fall Out Boy, just to name a few. They were playing with the big dogs now. So it came as no surprise that Rolling Stone marked them as an act to watch in their annual Hot issue. Deja reigned supreme on many end-of-year lists, and the record was described as a landmark album for emo punk. Their little empire had officially been built, but as many of you know, this empire didn't stay little for so long. The success of Deja and the band's notable following that they had garnered in the underground had them in a bidding war with record labels, which is a pretty great problem for a band to have. Everyone wanted to sign them to their label because these companies saw the potential in them. After lots of thought and consideration, they ended up going with DreamWorks Records, which was later taken over by a label called Interscope Records. In 2004, in an interview with Chart magazine, Lacey mentioned that all of this fame, pressure to perform, and write new good material for a large and growing fan base had thrown him into a state of anxiety and depression. But he also made sure to note that he tends to write his best stuff when he's in that state, and that this record would be moving into new territory for Brand New. In late 2005, Jesse and the boys began working on their highly anticipated third studio album in Oxford, Mississippi with producer Dennis Herring, but dropped him later for Mike Sapone, who had helped them produce their first album. In January of 2006, to the dismay of Brand New, 9 demo tracks from the record that they had been working so hard on were released to the internet. Jesse was super bummed about this and felt like they had to write new material for the album since people had heard these songs mid-creation. And in an interview, he actually stated that he now wants these songs to be on the album and that it'll forever feel incomplete to him without them. But despite all of that, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me has become their most critically acclaimed album to date and is considered one of the best albums of the 2000s, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't agree. Not only was it a success critically, but commercially it dominated as well. It debuted at number 31 on the Billboard 200 and sold 60 60,000 copies in its first week. In comparison, Deja debuted at number 63 and sold 51,000 copies in its first 7 weeks. This band was no longer a success in the pop-punk/emo scene, they were just a successful, respected rock band overall. Their progression and desire to improve their craft was so evident. They were operating at such a high caliber for a band that started out writing the most juvenile of tracks. The release and success of The Devil and God brought along many tours, regional and international. They played live on Conan and on David Letterman. They grew their fan base to the highest heights before beginning an entirely new project, which would serve as their most interesting record to date, an album that would be the biggest departure from anything they had created in the past. In October 2008, Brand New told the world that they were in the studio winding down the recording of their new album and were currently tracking vocals. About 9 months passed before Brand New would announce the record and the name of it. And One Head Can Never Die was set to be released September 22nd of 2009. And if you're like, wait, do you mean Daisy? Yes, I do mean Daisy. Because 2 days after announcing the album title, they swiftly changed it to Daisy, which I honestly didn't know until I started writing this video. At the time, Daisy was their biggest commercial success to date, making a debut at number 6 on the Billboard 200 and selling 46,000 units within the first week of its release. At this very point, Brand New would become a household name for many people in their teens and early 20s, and nothing was going to stop them from being remembered as one of the greatest rock bands of the 2000s. Nothing except the event that occurred in late 2017. So here we are, we have time traveled to the year of 2017. I know that I glossed over a lot of details of things that happened between 2009 and 2017, but I don't want to keep you here all day, and at this point I'm sure you're eager to know what caused their fall, their demise, the thing that made their alternative rock empire crumble to the ground in a span of 24 hours. Jesse and the boys were so dang close to finishing on top. I'm talking so close. Their 5th and final album, Science Fiction, dropped on August 17th and debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, making the album a critical and commercial success, their most successful album to date as far as charts were concerned. Now at this time, people were well aware that Brand New's time was numbered. Their existence was on the countdown. They even sold a shirt that said Brand New 2000 to 2018. So people knew that this album was it and that their favorite band was just about done. And although it was sad, everything was well and good, right? Wrong. On November 13th, 2017, lots of articles began breaking on the internet about how Jesse Lacey was guilty of doing some horrible things that I don't want to get too graphic about, but basically the allegations were the following. He had misused his position of power to manipulate a girl/girls that were not of age to do some pretty inappropriate things, and according to the allegations, this wasn't just a one-off thing. Apparently it was a very continuous thing with at least one person. And here's the thing, I'm not here to tell you what to believe, I'm not here to change minds, I'm simply here to tell you the events that caused Brand New's demise. Following the allegations, Jesse released sort of an apology on Facebook about how he cheated on his wife a bunch and had been battling addiction, and how he is trying to get help for all this stuff. And it's honestly kind of hard for me to view it as an apology because he didn't even address the things that he had been alleged to have done in the past. It felt like a big blanket apology that was meant to cover all the bases in the most vague, ambiguous way possible. All of this impacted the alternative music community heavily. Jesse Lacey, the man that was supposed to be sweet and thoughtful, had hurt someone, damaged another person for the long term, something that you can't take back no matter how many times you say sorry. Brand New had one of the most die-hard fan bases I have ever seen, and this news coming to light eviscerated that community. People got tattoos removed, burned records, threw away merchandise. This was a big deal. It was like you'd been dating someone for 10 plus years, and one day out of the blue, they revealed to you that they are an evil person and then broke up with you with no explanation before vanishing out of your life forever. Brand New ended on such a sad note. Sometimes I like to imagine a reality where none of this stuff happened, no one got hurt, and Brand New went out on top. But as we all know, that just isn't the case. As I'm finishing up writing this video, I find myself wanting to give you all a sense of closure regarding Brand New and what happened with Jesse Lacey. But I'm unable to because we never got a sense of closure as fans. And I think it's extremely important to keep in mind that we are not entitled to a sense sense of closure as fans. It's not our band and the situation didn't directly involve us. They owe us nothing. So I guess that begs the question, what now? And I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. This isn't something that has a cut and dry answer. So I'm going to leave you with these two questions. Number one being, can you separate the art from the artist? And number two being, do you still listen to Brand New? No matter what your answer is, I will not think more or less of you, and I will respect what you have to say. On this channel, I strive to create an open-minded community that doesn't ridicule one another if we have different opinions and beliefs on a topic. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have an outstanding day.